All right. We up? I think we're up. So, I was going to basically draw knives today, but I've just spent like the last little bit here looking for the ones I wanted to draw first, or at least one of them. I don't know where it went, which is very strange. Um, I'm sure I just misplaced it, but that will hopefully turn up. Is this it? No, hold on. I might have found them. We found them. Oh, what the fuck? I'm goddamn sideways. Look at that. We found them. They're in here. You ready? You ready for this? I feel like the knife thing turned out kind of all right. Um, which is why we're going for it again. This is nah. We wanted. I believe it's this one then. There we go. Strange. Strange. This should be relatively easy to draw. I'm hoping. Sketch. Even. And that would be because it's got a lot of straight lines to it, right? But then it is a little wonky. So this is hmm, I go with sheep's foot. Some might call it a Warncliffe. Um, the reality is, you act like it's got a special blade shape name. The reality is, if you just hold it backwards, right, that would just be the normal shape of a blade. Obviously, the blade is shaped like this. This one's a little hard to kind of like differentiate because it's all stonewashed. Um, but we're gonna see what we can pull off here, and I'll probably pick something a little more complicated for the second one. First things first. Let's add a new layer. Also, I wanna check something. Hold up. What resolution is this coming out at? It is 720. Okay. All right. And it is picking up my voice. Okay. So weirdly, every time I start this, at the default like frame size that I have it at 1920 by 1080, this will not fit. Like the Credo window does not fit. I've tried to do this in full screen and it's even worse. On this monitor anyway. And I've tried to do this without, I mean, we saw that. I think I left a stream mostly because I forgot that time. And it just cuts off like that part and like part over here. I don't know why. It's at 1920 by 1080. This monitor is technically 1920 by 1080. There's like no reason for any of that. I am kind of feeling like can I how do I do this? I might have to move the like camera down to here so I won't get tracking like off to the side, but I'll get tracking like better tracking down here. That might have to be the play. Anyway, I guess let's get started. Should I hold it? Okay. It's literally just like a reverse blade. I don't know. I kind of liked the way the Hinder came out yesterday. So I wanted to give it another shot, but with this is a Monterey Bay knives. This is the River Otter. Um, this is one of my favorites personally. You see, okay, shit. The reason I like it better, this is yesterday's, the Hinder. Um, this is better for like breaking down boxes or something, right? Because it's thicker, it's more robust, right? You can get a better grip on it. Like it sits better in your palm a little bit. But I mostly uh kind of just do leather work these days. And so you can see it has almost the same amount of cutting edge, but it's like 70%, maybe 85% actually. Well, 70 to 75% of the size. And volume wise, it's even less. So it ends up being, first off, lighter because there's also a thinner blade. This one's not particularly thin behind the edge. I mean, it's good enough, but it's not particularly. Uh, but it ends up just being better overall because I can also use it a lot better like this, which is usually how I do more precise cuts and things. All right, let's get back to trying to sketch it. Let's put this thing away for now. All right. I'm tempted. Oh, you know what? Might be best with a slip joint, actually. I'm tempted to do the layer thing I talked about yesterday so that I can change the orientation of the blade. But something to consider is, like, for example, on this one, you can now see that part of the thing, whereas before it would be behind the scale. If I do it with a slip joint, though, some of them should have a half stop. Do I have? So a slip joint, sometimes backlocks also have a half stop, but a slip joint generally, that's kind of expensive. Let's look at something super relatively cheap. Oh, it doesn't even have a fucking half stop. Okay, which means the wood one won't either. Half stop. Okay, half stop. So this, who makes this? Is this wait, who? Fuck, it's been so long. Oh, this is what the fuck is the first part? What is that thing? I don't know, it's something pine knives. But this has a half stop, so this doesn't lock. So if you were to be using this, which again, this comes down to the size is really good. Um, but if you were to be using this and you used it wrong, maybe you put too much pressure, it could close on your fingers. Which is why the half stop's there to hope that you don't have your fingers here. But it's also for when you close it, there's like a half stop because you generally have to put a little more force to break it so it stops there. You can make sure your fingers are out of the way and you can close it, right? A lot of people will just push it against their leg and have their fingers out of the way anyway. But that's a half stop. This is a non-locking knife. A lot of backlocks use basically the same method, but you physically, do I have one of those? I don't think I do. You physically like lift this back spring because there will be something that locks into the bottom of the blade. And usually they don't have a half stop because of that. But some of them do. I've had ones that do. It's a lot more rare. But the half stop would be a good position to draw it in because it's relatively secure as long as I'm not fucking around, right? I'm kind of slapping that. That's probably not like if I'm just holding that, that should be fine. So it would be good to get like different angles going. Anyway, back to drawing the one at hand. It is at hand. It's literally at hand. Holy shit. Jesus. All right. Should I actually count them this time? These are actually more rounded than what I'm doing, aren't they? 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is kind of like the back. Yeah, so it looks like a fifth one here, but it's actually kind of more like the stop of it. And then it's kind of like covered. Oh, wait. Switch PCs on that. I should really just finish setting this up so that this one is also what happened was I set this up entirely and I was gonna just sign into a different Twitch. I was gonna just stream completely separately. So I'm not signed in on the real Twitch. Um, let's go to my following. This is gonna be a disaster. Okay, what the fuck? Let's just zoom in on this keyboard picture because what the fuck is that? Somebody's fucking Twitch or YouTube. Oh, cool. All right. Hold on. I have to close. I was wondering why it wasn't working and it's just opening shit all like constantly. I have to close. Thank you, Adblock, for doing nothing for me. You're very helpful. Um, hopefully that fixed the thing where it is open. Well, okay. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. No, it didn't fix anything. All right. It's just zooming in when I scroll. I don't know why it keeps doing this. There's like no reason for it. If I go back to this, the last thing I did was press Control Z like twice. So will pressing Control Z change that? Oh, it does. Okay, thank God, dude. Jesus, dude. What in the hell? Let's just go to my dumbass profile. Also, I know what Netflix is up to. I can't prove it, but I know what they're doing. I know. I know. It's also occurring to me I should have drawn it backwards instead of this way. Should have drawn it this way so I can do the clip. But we're too late, so we're not doing the clip. So we wanted to do the scale on a separate layer so that hopefully we can mess around with it. Probably not. I don't know what I'm doing. This has some belly to it, which is both good and bad. Fuck. It's good. Well, as a knife, it's same thing actually. All right, drawing it wise, it's good and bad. It's good because I can hide the fact that I can't actually draw a straight line. Is bad in that I can't really rotate this tablet, and I'm too stupid to know how to rotate things in Krita to make it work smoothly. Um, so it's kind of hard to do. And having some belly on a knife in real, like, actually for a useful knife is good because it kind of lets you, like, do more than just like a straight up and down cut. It like lets you get some swipe to it so that the whole edge is kind of like going through it because what'll happen sometimes with a very straight blade is it'll be easier to get caught, especially if there's like a chip or a roll in the edge. And so since it's straight and everything is kind of like exerting the same amount of pressure, it'll just kind of get caught. But if you're pulling through with something where it maybe tapers off, or I guess either way, because it would taper off either way, you just change your angle. It will technically be like, I don't want to say lower. It'll be at a different height, right? So you'd be able to, if it gets caught on a roll or something, you'd be able to like just slightly pivot your knife a little easier. And it since it won't be at the same height, it'll get unstuck from whatever your like chip or roll is cut on. So it's very useful for that, but it also makes sharpening them harder if it's not a perfectly straight thing. A lot of like fixed angle sharpeners. I don't have mine set up, so I can't show it. But a fixed angle sharpener is basically, it'll just be like a tower, and then it'll have like a pole, and on that pole will be like a sharpening stone or something. And then it'll have a clamp and it'll just hold it by the blade. And a good one will have a couple of angles, and it'll just let you like grind instead of having to do it the old fashioned way. And it lets you get a very consistent angle every time without a lot of practice. So a lot of them will account for that by the fact that the the further away, like based on where you place the blade, the further away, the steeper the angle you'll be at. So it kind of works out. But if you're doing it by hand, it makes it a little harder because you kind of have to like swoop with the stone. But since we're drawing it and not sharpening it right now, like I said, it's a good and bad because I don't have to draw a straight line, which I can't do. But clearly, it doesn't really matter because I feel like I didn't go far enough. I can't draw at all. See, now this is like way too much for me. This is way more belly than this knife has. Okay. So that kind of goes like that. But the truth of the matter is, there's also... No, no, no. So, okay, we need to maybe make that a little longer. But there's also this one. This little ridge here. Kind of comes down to meet it. All right. We're working with something. I don't know how I'm going to do the thumb stud. I don't feel like the last one came out particularly good. I don't really know how to portray depth with just a sketch. But if we're also being honest, I just don't know how to portray things. So there's that. All right. I feel like we need a little steeper of an angle here if we're going to try and match a little better. Okay. And I'll bring that up so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. It's a little hard to tell because, again, it's stone washed, which makes it very, very uniformish looking. I should get better lighting over here. I should plug in this fucking lamp. I've got 3 lamps here, 2 lava lamps that don't give off any light whatsoever, and then I have a regular lamp, but I need a lampshade for it, which is why I don't fucking use it. And for some reason, like, the only ceiling lighting in this room is fucking like 15 feet away. So I have a different lamp behind me, and that one provides all the light for this half of the room. So and I'm it's behind me, so I'm like blocking a lot of the light that would bring in. Okay. All right. I think we're gonna just not draw an edge because it's too fine of something for my skill level, which is non-existent. Um, I do want to try and readjust this. I feel like the angle they got here is a little sharper. It might just appear that way though. Yeah, it might just appear that way because it's a very steep grind actually. I think I had it better before. It just feels that way because there's like some shadows going on. Do we put MBK on it anywhere? MBK is Monterey Bay Knives. That's their little logo. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a layer. We're going to try and do the scale. So the scale is going to be a problem for me because it's very straight. It's also actually kind of 3D, right? There's some contour and chamfering here. Now that would be easy to draw, I guess, if you were good. I'm not, so it's not going to be great. We'll see what we can pull off here. So this should start roughly here. Okay. I feel like I have trouble drawing closer to my right side, which is why I tend to like draw from like here that way. I did try purposely to draw something on my tablet like a little while ago over here. It didn't come out too well. Weirdly, like the body came out well, but the face was just so bad. Um, this is one of those times where if I were serious about like whatever I'm drawing here, like I wanted it to actually look good, I would probably have to use like the straight tool, right? Because like I just don't have this. We're getting too fat. Using the wrong eraser, but I don't really think it matters. This is a lot steeper. Jesus. Alright, let's put this down for a sec. I don't know why, but you would think that the drawing hand was cramping, but that hand was cramping. I guess because I'm kind of like pinching it, and I really don't want to drop it because it's going to stab into something. Probably me, because it'll probably stab into that. And it won't be that big a deal, but it's going to like bounce, probably break this, and then end up in my fucking leg. So, I don't want that to happen. It's happened before, and it's not great. I feel like the problem is that, like I said before, it's like on my right here. Maybe if I start from here. And then kind of like, it's weird. I want it to be pretty abrupt, but like I don't want it to be super severe at the same time. Okay. I don't feel like that's too bad. I feel like I'm really screwing this up. Give me my hair back. All right. What do we think? God damn, these lines are not straight. I mean, I would argue technically this is fine for a sketch, and since this is as far as I'm probably going to go, right, we're not going to color this in. First off, I do not have any skill at all coloring. I still don't understand how people pick colors and decide where what goes where and all that, and I absolutely won't be able to shade this to make it not just look like a plain old silver hunk of junk, because this is entirely stonewashed and looks almost identically uniform all the way around the board. Uh, so it's definitely not in the cards. Not gonna happen. Let's go back here so that we can. You know what? Maybe I bring up that part instead of bringing the blade back, because the blade is I feel like as good as it's gonna get. But technically, the scale should come forward. I mean, not. It's just the way this knife was designed. Not for every knife. It's just the way this one was designed. So I think I should maybe readjust. Oh fuck! I'm on the wrong. See you later. So we need to redo this. Okay. I mean, this is lumpy as hell, but that's just the way it's gonna have to be for now. Um, Screw layer, I guess. There's no fucking chance I'm drawing a fucking Torx bit, dude. What? Shit. How the fuck? I guess I would have to zoom in, right? I would have to zoom in and then like draw it, and I just don't. We're gonna try it on just the big one. Alright? We're gonna try it on the big one. We're not gonna get better if we don't try stupid shit. As stupid as I think it is. So Torx. This is, I think this is a T8, but I don't think that matters how many teeth it has. You know, I'll probably be better off just fucking searching. Who the fuck? Notifications. Put like in that fucking tweet. Goggly. How many teeth does the Torx bit have? 6? Okay. It is 6. I thought it was 6, but I was like, wait, isn't that a... What is it? No, a hex is 5, isn't it? But then I like convinced myself that the size. So since this was T8, I was like, isn't it T8 8? But it's not. It ain't. Oh, brother. Okay. Am I just gonna draw it? Wait. All right. Okay. You know, you think since I'm Jewish, I'd be really good at these. Enjoy Star of David, bro. Wait. Okay. That's as good as I'm gonna get. But now that I have like the technique, I can actually probably kind of do something about that. That's fucking hilarious. It's just the Star of David. It's just the six-sided star. So I'm really scared to do these because I don't know how to do it. Can I? Okay. All right. Okay. I drew a normal star in this one. Fake Jew, fake Jew, fake. I'm a fake Jewish person. Okay. Hear me out. I'm trying not to cheat. If I were serious, once again, if I were serious about this, I would do the one good one at the larger scale. Fuck, I'd even probably do a whole. I mean, if I were really, really serious, I would have a separate screw that I have pre-made, like a whole image file for it that I can shrink. And that one, the original, would be in very high detail, pre-made up. And then I can just copy and paste it where I want it, maybe rotate it and add some character later. But like that's if I were like, again, finished product delivery time, like very serious about it. I mean, even if I were more serious than I am right now, the play would be to just take the finished one here that's kind of okay. I mean, I know the circle's not great, and just copy paste and then shrink those. Right? That would be the play. I didn't do that. I don't even know how I managed to do what I just did here. I swear to God, it didn't look like that 5 seconds ago. But there's so many better ways to do this. But once again, I'm trying not to like use too many tools right now because I feel like yes, the tools will be good later when I'm actually like good. But if I cut the corners now, I'm going to have less skills for when those tools would be useful. So that like when a instance finally arises, let's say, all right, the tools would be super useful this whole time, but when the instance finally arises where, you know what, I actually just can't use that tool, suddenly I don't have any of the skills needed, right? So I feel like I should be able to do what the tools do for myself before I use the tools. Maybe I won't be able to do it as good as the tool, but like in the interim, I want to be able to kind of work on being decent at it. So I'm going to add another layer, and this one is going to be maybe the depth. Just kind of see if we can't do a little bit. I know it kind of just looks like I'm tracing over. No, it's not really working out, is it? Kind of making it look like a fixed blade. If I come out too far, it doesn't really make sense because the blade isn't angled so that you'd see that. If anything, it's the opposite. The top scale should just be covering it. All right. Well, let's try our luck. I really don't like how grayscale a lot of this is. I can't really tell where the bars are for the like it needs to be blue like down here. That looks like a bird, doesn't it? On the one hand, I'm kind of satisfied with this. I feel like I did it outside of the screws, like the small bits. I feel like I did it decent justice at my skill level. Like I said, I'm at like I'm not good. I'm not good. I don't know what I'm doing. So like I feel like I did decent work here. On the other hand, I didn't draw the edge. Most of these lines are pretty off. Like, what is this little wonky shit? What did I do? Try and cut some fucking copper wire and ruin it? This is actually, is this Magna Cut? Did you not put what this is? There it is. This is Magna Cut. I mean, it probably would chip. Copper, while softer than steel, is still hard enough that hardened steel would chip. Okay, I'm gonna leave this on the desk. I think we'll pick a different blade. I kind of wish, first off, I kind of wish someone was here so that we could maybe do like a poll, but nobody's here, and that's fine. Let's take a little peek in here. What do we got to work with? Something a little more unique, maybe? Hmm. This is kind of big. This isn't that unique either, but I could. All right. I'm not going to draw this because I think this would be better saved for something in the future. First off, it's relatively simple. It is large, but I think it would be cool to maybe attempt the scale art on this. This is a koi fish. I'm not the biggest fan of this brand, honestly. Um, so if the opportunity comes to sell this, we're selling it. Uh, they make cool knives. The pocket clip's ass, but I have found that hold on. Aside from some other things about them, um, if you see here, it's not sharp to the very edge of the blade. That alone, honestly, should have just prevented me from buying it. I got sucked in by the beauty of it, I guess. Apparently, I'm flipping out for some reason. I don't know why. There's a direct line of sight for me here. Um, but yeah, the blade doesn't come all the way to the edge, and that's because they didn't leave what would be called a sharpening choil. So you see that steep edge on this one, they cut that part out, and you're probably thinking, well, what's the difference, right? You kind of end up, if it came all the way out to there anyway, the blade, like the sharp area, would be the same length. It's just instead you'd have more metal there. Um, well, the difference is when you go to sharpen it, you don't have that steep lip right here that you have to deal with. Plus, this isn't sharpened, so I have to create the edge here. I think people call it a smile because it kind of like ends up with a divot, I guess. It looks very weird, but if you've ever seen maybe like an old, like a very old chef's knife or something, like maybe your grandma's chef's knife, and she's had it for 70 years, and she actually, it's not even a chef's knife anymore. It's more like a paring knife because she's used it, and it comes out from where it starts, but it's basically just that left, right? Because you used all of it. And she couldn't get down to here when she did like her little thing, if she did that and didn't, the little rod, or if she, actually knew how to sharpen herself, or maybe her husband did it or something, because, old gender roles and all that shit. Um, but a lot of older knives would do stuff like that, where they wouldn't have like a finger slash sharpening choil where your finger could come up closer to the blade and the blade would end at that hole, allowing you to get more use out of your knife, more or less. Uh, so that's complete ass about this. And there's a lot of knives that do that, so I don't mean to single them out, I guess. But for a knife like this, you would expect a little more. Uh, okay. This is pretty boring. I kind of want like boring right now because, like I said before, I can't really do tough shapes that well. Should I? Where is that? Oh, wait, does this have a half stop? Doesn't. Well, it's all right. Rough Rider. Rough Riders are a very like, we'll call it affordable brand. Okay, no half stop on this. No. Traditionally, they don't actually necessarily have a stop. I guess we'll just go with the one we were showing earlier. I didn't really want to have to draw this blade shape because I think it's going to be a pain in the ass. We're going to try and draw, I guess, the sideways thing. So we're going to file this. Oh, fuck. Sorry about that. Let's actually make sure it's a ping to start with. Does anyone know how I can make it so Krita saves automatically in a PNG instead of a fucking Krita art document so that I don't have to have 2 copies of it when I go to like upload it anywhere? Okay, so that's done. All right. Work on the trestle pines or whatever the fuck this is called. Is it trestle? Honestly, I forgot I had this one. If I recall, the story behind this was I bought it at a discount because they said it was like, it was new, but like they said it was tarnished, and it turned out the tarnish was blood. Yeah. So they wouldn't return it because, or they wouldn't let me return it because it was final sale because it was like I bought it as is, but I felt like blood wasn't cool. I've since done like a lot of sanitization. I don't even remember where it was at this point. I think it might have been on the blade. Blood, yeah, probably not a lot on the blade. I think this was CPM 154 though, so that would be why it doesn't show it too badly. But blood does rust extremely, extremely fast. It is immensely corrosive. Like immensely. Like overnight, you will, if you leave blood on, well, anything, I guess, technically, but metal, rust. You'll have a permanent stain. Even like probably like a couple minutes, honestly. It is so immensely corrosive. It's actually insane. Um, but yeah, what I ended up doing was something I don't normally recommend, but I believe I bleached it, and then I put a bunch of water and alcohol after I let that get, well, I washed it with water. Normally you don't really wash wood. So this actually looks a lot older than it is. I think it's only a couple years old. I don't even think Trestle Pines is that old of a company. And I want to be clear, this isn't Trestle Pines' fault. This was the company I bought it from. They were like in stock at the store, right? Trestle Pines had nothing to do with this, or whoever this is. I don't fucking remember. um, but like I also couldn't like resell it, because I don't feel right about that. Um, So I just kind of kept it and didn't really use it that much because it left a bad taste in my mouth. Even though I got it because I thought it would be a really good size and shape, which it is for leather work. Um, it's got like a very fine point, right? It's relatively thin behind the edge. It's relatively small and light, right? Very good for doing draw cuts. So like cutting through, let's say you got like a strip of leather like this. I would put it on a plastic board, one of these, right? And you just draw it across. You just cut right through it, right? It's very simple, and you want something thin and relatively small so you have good control. And typically, what you do is you'd measure it and maybe draw on it so that you would draw on whatever side's not going to be show side. So if you were going to use rough out, you can see obviously I haven't. There's actually some lines here. But if you were going to use rough out, you would draw on skin side, I guess, or more traditionally, if you were gonna just use like the outer leather, you would just draw uh right on the rough side, and then you would cut there, and you would probably leave a little bit of the pen if you were better than me. Clearly, I've cut within, but I also usually kind of trace around, which leaves like room for error. Um, anyway, small, thin knife is usually best for that. All right, probably shouldn't have picked that up because there's fucking debris everywhere now. Okay. First off, almost forgot the layer. So let's start on blade. What are the odds that this would be the same blade shape? I would probably call this a Wharncliffe instead of a sheep's foot. They're basically the same thing. A lot of people would argue, it's interchangeable. Some people would be very upset to hear me call it either one or the other. Either way, because there are people who are like, oh well, a Wharncliffe's only is a Wharncliffe no matter what. There's no such thing as a sheep's foot, or there's nothing, other way around. You can't have a modified sheep's foot. It's just something else at that point. You can't call it that. Whatever. I don't fucking care. The difference typically is that belly we were talking about earlier. So this one, as you can see, it's kind of got like that contour to the edge. Fuck. Please don't fuck up my tracking. So it's kind of contoured here. This one is pretty much straight all along the edge. Right? I'm not saying it's perfectly straight, but it's straighter, and so it's much more in line with whatever the fuck a Wharncliffe is supposed to be. Um, and the other one is called a sheep's foot, typically because that's, I guess, the shape of a sheep's foot. I don't know. I've never had a sheep's foot in my face, but these people take their naming conventions very seriously, and I'm not kidding about that. If somehow, well, that is not fucking thick enough if we're trying to match what's in front of us. Somehow a knife bro ends up watching this shit, I'm gonna be so fucking cooked. Because I'm also kind of out of the game. I haven't really been collecting them for like the last like year or two. Because I'm trying not to, one, spend the money. But I already have like quite a few of them that, I kind of got into it because I'm like, well, I'd like to, I'd like to have good ones for the hobbies. I like to have good ones because I like them. And I like to have good ones because they can be a pretty decent investment, right? It's a tool you more or less use every day. And if you buy the right ones, instead of breaking every, you know, 2 months and then having to spend another $15, on your gas station one, all you have to do is sharpen it every probably month or two. And it kind of pays for itself over time. And if you buy it even better, right, you say, um, here we go. Let's say I bought a Great Eastern Cutlery and I paid $55 for it. Well, uh, something like this probably actually would go for like $200. I'm not sure on the market anymore. This is Kieranite. This is like a type of plastic. This orange Kieranite. This is a very traditional knife. This one does not have a half stop. It is also a slip joint. But Great Eastern Cutlery is an American brand. They make them in America. Allegedly, they're handmade, and they release relatively small batches of ones that will never really be repeated. So you'll probably never see another orange Kieranite with the guitar inlay again, unless you're like one of the maybe 100 to maybe a couple thousand, depending. I don't think this one made it that high. Um, but unless you're one of the people who owns it, you'll probably never see it again. And they're generally really well made. It's not the best steel. I think they use 1095 most of the time. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine steel. But people buy them because it's a good enough steel, and they more buy them for the aesthetic and the rarity. They're very cool, and they're made in the USA. It's a very desirable trait. Um, and so, Great Eastern Cutlery will sell them from anywhere from like, it's been a while, to be fair. It used to be anywhere from like 40-ish to maybe 100 something, like low hundreds. But because they would sell so few of them at a time, they'd get released in batches. There's a lot of hype around them. So that in combination with like, let's say it's a very desirable like blade style slash scale style, they would sell for their retail price, $70 or something, $50, and then people would scalp them and resell them. Obviously, I don't think I've sold a single one. And I'm gonna check. I'm pretty sure I paid like 55-ish, maybe plus tax for that one. So let's look up orange scramble. GEC should do it. Okay. So they were on Blade HQ for 106. I don't think I paid that much, so I'm surprised. Oh, here we go. eBay. eBay is 250 plus shipping. Okay. GP Knives, do they still have one in stock? They do not. Didn't think they would. Okay. All right, here's some more eBay listings. 274. All right, so we're going to go with I would be safely able to sell it for 200. So even if I had paid 106, which I do not believe I did, I assume that that is just like a blanket price update or something. I'm pretty sure even if I had though, if I were to sell for $200 on eBay, eBay would take probably around 40. Actually, it's a collectible, so they probably take around $60 in fees. Um, because what would happen is it would probably be like 50, and then 50 for the base price, and then they take a fee out of the shipping, and I'd probably ship that insured, which would probably cost me like $20. It'd probably be like 52, 55 for fees, plus the $20 for shipping, 15 if I'm cheap, and I go like the slowest possible method and don't insure it the best possible way. So we'll just pretend it'd be like 65, $70 in fees and shipping, because we also have to include the price of a box and stuff. So if I sell it for 200, the buyer pays probably up to like 250, depending on where they're from. Um, so 200 minus we'll call it 65. And we'll call it 70. So I'm at 130. Even if I paid the 106 plus tax, I make like $15 at that point. That's not a huge amount, but I didn't lose any money on it, right? It still has that value, even used, because those were used listings, right? And since I'm pretty sure I paid less, I'm up more. Not substantially more, but you see what I'm saying? Like, in my head, it made sense because I'm not really ever going to be down until the tool is broken. And even then, if the scales are intact, somebody might put in a fresh blade, and I'm pretty sure GEC would probably even, like, if the blade cracked, I think they'd probably replace it for either very cheap or free. My understanding is they're quite good. Uh, if I recall, I think I bought this because I think it said the same Tito. I don't know how to spell it or how to pronounce it. It's Tidoute. Tido County. I think these people allegedly made theirs in the same factory, which is why I picked this up in the first place. Which meant to me it was probably made by Great Eastern, but I really don't even know. I mean, if I reconsider the fact that it was sold to me as is with obvious fucking blood stains on it, I don't know how trustworthy the place I bought it from was. And like I said, I kind of just, you know, checked out from it because I was mad. Can I? Well, let's look them up. So it is trestle pine knives. Okay. Where are they actually made? Olympique. Okay. All right. Decline your cookies. Thank you. Whoa, hello. Some sort of sale? Oh my god, bro. Exclusive special offers. Discontinued now. Trestle Pine Buddy. I think so cool. Oh. So this is the gun flint. It was in CPM 154. Mine's not in the Mammoth Ivory. Okay. Alright. Well, there's no longer any info on it because it's a discontinued one. Let's see if we can find them. On eBay. How bad did I do? I mean, I wouldn't resell this anyway because, like I said, oh, nobody even sells them. Oh, wait, there's one. 300 bucks. That's definitely more than I paid. This person put like GEC. I wonder if they got hit with the same little thing where somebody put that it was where they were selling it. And it was a dealer. It was like a known dealer that I got it from. It's a perfectly good knife. I want to be clear. It was just I was soured on it because of the situation. Okay. All right. So, I have somehow managed to make this thinner. If anyone here wants to lose weight, let me draw you, because I can't do proportions. I feel like every time I've redone this, I fucked it up, and I kind of don't want to mess with it more. Oh, wait. Oh, shit, I can do that? What? Goddamn. That's good to know. All right. I'm just going to draw this as a line. I know I shouldn't, but I'm ass. You know, you are what you eat. I'm ass. Wait. What? Okay. Coming out way too much here. Fuck, wrong thing. And I do think I want to maybe redo this part. Maybe make this a little, make that ass a little fatter, you know what I'm saying? What? Okay. There we go. I think that's a little better. That might be the least straight line in the history of straight lines. This is officially a gay line, I think. Um, which is good. That's great. Good for you, bro. Jesus. Okay. Why do I have to keep picking things with like weird, like slash straight slash curved edges and whatnot? Like, what am I doing? I should just go back to drawing anime girls very poorly, but did I? How did I turn things red? How did I do that? I don't I don't know. Interestingly enough, that's a very close color to the color of the scales. So I kind of fucked with it, but I don't know how I did that because this, as far as I'm aware, this isn't a touchscreen. It only works with the pen. It's just like a resilient, like monitor screen and pen nib with like software. Because this doesn't work if you don't have the software. Okay, I'm pretty sure the back is relatively straight, right? Oh, no, no, it's bowed. It's bowed. It's like a canoe going on back there. Enjoy my dance because apparently it wants to track wherever I'm pointing. That's nice. Thanks for coming back to my face. Appreciate it. Wait, let's use. Yeah, look at that. So we didn't plan for this, which sucks. Um, Now obviously you can't really technically have a knife like this and the blade goes past it. There are some that actually exist because they fold extra ways where the blade is technically longer than the handle for folding. But this isn't one of those, and those are honestly garbage. So you wouldn't ever probably want to use it if you did have one. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is called the gunflint. I'm exaggerating it here a little bit because I have no concept of scale. Um, because it's supposed to look like the stock of a gun in the back. I believe that was the story behind it. But again, you can't trust the place you bought it from if they sell it to you with blood on it. So that's my theory with knives, guns, and diamonds. Well, I guess I came in a little too much, huh? What if I come down from here? That might be my better bet. There we go. So this one, instead of having screws, has pins. Now the problem with pins are, unless you have very specialized tools, you probably aren't going to be able to like properly maintain this yourself. So let's see if how wiggly this is. Can you see that? So there's a bit of wiggle here. Um, it's not too bad. It's pretty common for knives like this. Um, if you had screws of any type, Torx bits are the standard, or the industry standard, but you would be able to tighten that and hopefully get rid of it without making the action too tight. Um, Being that this is pins, in order to fix that, right now I could probably get away with using maybe like a mallet, like a plastic mallet at this point. Or if you have like a normal metal mallet with like uh they they make ones with like a fabric, probably like felt or something if you wanted to. Um, I would personally probably put like plastic or a piece of leather over it just so you don't scratch this. I mean, it's not a huge deal, right? It's brass, it's gonna tarnish, right? This isn't bright gold anymore. Um, but you could probably like hammer it just a little bit, like a little softly. Maybe use like a watch pin hammer or something if you have one. So like the plastic side and right, you're not trying to like beat on it, you're not trying to engrave it, but you're trying to effectively like friction fit it back together a little tighter. Um, but you're not really going to be able to take it apart without realistically probably without drilling out the pins on one side. You can maybe hammer them out, but then you'd have to put either way, you'd have to put in new pins and then like regrind it. You're gonna lose some material. It won't be a huge deal if you're skilled, if you know what you're doing. But your average, person probably isn't gonna be able to maintain this themselves. This, on the other hand, right? Um, zero shake, but it's on the tighter end. So I can't just like flick this one out. That's fine. I kind of like that personally. I feel like it's very satisfying. It's like a hydraulic feeling. It's very, very satisfying to open and close a knife like that. That's why I like thumb studs so very much. It's very satisfying. It's almost like an adult fidget spinner in a way. Let me take off the glove when I'm doing this so it actually tracks my fingers. Uh, but there's like no shake to it. But it is on the tighter side. But if I needed to maintain this in any way whatsoever, standard T8 Torx bit. Do I have one in this one? Here we go. You can just buy this. This comes with a T8. This is a little Weehaw one. Most people recommend Weehaw bits, right? You just uh oh oh wait, is it T6 for the bottoms? All right, so the bottoms are apparently T6. I thought these were T8s all the way around. Um, but right, all I'd have to do is unscrew or tighten it if it were loose. Right, if there's a bunch of dirt in here and it's like locking up, right, all I'd have to do is unscrew it. That's it. We're done. Screw it, unscrew it. We're back. I do want to. Here we go. I forgot I had these right here. Um, so this is the. What is this? The river? No, this is the sea lion. This is the sea lion. So this one is very smooth. I think it's because the blade is heavier. Oh, it actually needs to be tightened. Can you see any wiggle? I can feel a little bit of wiggle. But it is very loose. I can just kind of flick it out. But since it's a little loose, if I just tighten it a little, it's a little too tight now to actually open. So we'll just back off. Just back off. Openable. We now no longer have any wiggle. Still can kind of launch it. Can't. It's not as smooth, but there's no wiggle anymore. Right? It's that simple. With pins, you can't really do that. If you were wondering, this is the Sea Otter. Any wiggle? No wiggle. It's not that smooth. Let me get the let's get a flipper actually real quick. Put that there. Flipper, 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 flipper. Let's get the best flipper. No, this is not the Hinderer. Just the same scale. Same designer too. Rick Hinderer. Uh, this is a zero tolerance. This is probably the best flipper in the world. I've never come across anything that's quite as good. I've come across some knives with as good of action, but not quite this good for flipping. Those are thummies, thumb studs. This is what, the ZTO5. Oh, this is a 6.2 CF. So this came with a carbon fiber scale. I got this for so cheap. I couldn't believe it. I think this is discontinued, but uh, I think what happened was they were about to release their new one with a different steel. So I got this on like full clearance. It was so good, but you just engage with the tab. Almost just cut my finger. Um, but for this, once again, there's no wiggle. This is a lot smoother, so this one just kind of drops shut with no wiggle. But if all I wanted to do was maybe tighten it, untighten it, maybe I wanted to swap this scale because this one obviously came with the carbon fiber. It's the CF. It came with a carbon fiber scale. I don't know what I did with that scale. It's somewhere. I have like a box filled. I think it's a bag filled with scales, actually, the originals. So if I wanted to swap that, I would need to take out that and just these screws. I think I could leave the rest because I'm only doing the face screw or the face scale. But like if I wanted to do that, scale swap, some people blade swap. They do custom blades for themselves or they buy them. Or maybe they buy, maybe they like a certain steel that doesn't come with a type of scale that they want. So they'll buy that scale version and they'll buy the other one. They'll swap them. This used to happen with a knife called the, what is it called? It's the one by Hogue, the Deca. So they would sell really nice scaled versions in the Deca CPM 20 CV version, and then they started releasing them in a steel called Magna Cut, which a lot of people consider better. Their early versions were not heat treated that well, allegedly. I think I have one of those. But they would swap the scales and then sell the rescaled ones as they were, right? So CPM 20 CV with the cheap scales that nobody liked, they would resell those to recoup some of their loss. And it was fine, right? People still got a good. The CPM 20 CV is not a bad steel by any stretch of the means. But it was as simple as just getting your screw, unscrewing, and replacing. I think the Hogue Deca, you have to take off both scales, and it's actually a huge pain in the ass because there's a couple of springs or something involved, or yeah, call them torsion bars or some shit. So it's not quite that simple. But with the pin, you wouldn't be able to do that unless you're a somewhat skilled craftsman, right? Unless you have the means to create brass pins. I mean, you don't have to use brass, but like unless you have the means to do it and the skills to do it, it's probably not going to happen. All right, so let's get back to doing this. We're gonna get off relatively soon, so we gotta draw our bolsters. Oh god. Wait. All right, let's undo that. Let's do the bolsters on a different set, even though they're kind of already done. So this has, for some reason, 3 lines in it. And right here's the pin. You can't really tell. Yeah, you can tell. You can't tell from some angles. So there's actually a pin here. There's a pin here. Now this pin, the back one, is larger because it actually goes all the way through to the other side. These smaller ones are just holding on the scale. So let's look at it from the front. So this pin is larger because it's holding on something heavier, brass. This one's smaller because it's holding on the wood, and there's several of them. And if you do too big, you're going to potentially split the wood. But this one has to be this big because it goes through the back spring here, which is the like little metal thing that's under pressure to prevent this from snapping cut or snapping and cutting you. Snapping closed is what I was trying to say. Now there is like a brass liner here, but this pin should go through, right? It's on both sides. These are just lined up to look like that, right? It can't go through because when you close it, sometimes, not in this case, but the blade doesn't go through here, but it does go through right, like right here. I don't think the sharp part does, but like this part I think would sit right around there. So you know you have to have something keeping the back spring in place, and obviously it's probably a combination of like wood glue or something, and then the pins to keep the whatchamacallit in place, the scales. I'm looking at it. I really fucked up the blade, did I feel like I did okay on this. I mean, I exaggerated the butt here quite a bit, as well as this like canoodling part. I just don't really know what I'm doing. All right, I think maybe in the future what I might do is like I might stick with these because I kind of like it. It lets me yap, but I think I might go back to maybe one Twitter image and one of these. I also like that I have it in hand, so like I can kind of like look at it, because part of the problem is I can't really lean down and like get a better look. I can't really lift this up and get a better look, because then that defeats the purpose of that. Um, so if I can't get a better look at that, I need to get a better look at the option, and I can't really do that with this because again, I'll be in the way. So it like gives me an option for like a little extra tangibility. I don't know, maybe I should move this closer so that you can actually see the screen here. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've never known what I'm doing. It's interesting. I feel like I spent more time doing these than I do the other stuff. But it or like at least the same amount of time, but I feel like I got less done. But I still see like a similar finished product somehow, or a similar level. Am I just that bad? Like, Jesus. Okay. I'm gonna just do a quick little experiment. We were like right there. So snap to assistance maybe. Okay. If I go out of the line, it doesn't really matter. So that just makes it darker. If I change tools, does that give me anything? No, it doesn't. How do I get it? Is there a way? This is brush smoothing. Weighted, maybe? See, this is all me. Smooth the pressure. I might have to just look into this, because I thought this would make it so that maybe I have to. Do I have to use a different tool first? Is that it? Does this work? Okay. Does this work? No. Does this work? Yeah, but no. Does that work? Wait, that actually could be something. Because then if I just like hide that, never mind. I need to learn how to do color. I feel like I'm definitely not good enough to start like coloring these in and like even really start tracing them. But I feel like I need to start because what's the point of just doing sketches if it's just gonna be keep like if I'm not gonna go beyond sketches, what am I doing? Like I need to go from sketches to tracing and then to coloring. So I think the play is to do sketches, practice my coloring on the sketches, and practice my tracing on my own sketches. Because what's the point of tracing someone else's work, right? It's I can't turn that into the teacher for my homework assignment. It's cheating. You know what I mean? Like it's a little different. I feel like looking at an image and then drawing it. Yeah, I'm copying it, but I'm copying it with my own hand through my own eyes. I feel like that's more legit. It's giving me the skill to eventually be able to create for myself. Um, and then doing that and then moving on to coloring, of course, will make it so that it's better. But I feel like there's no reason to really wait to learn about color theory, I guess. I don't fucking know. Right? I can learn about that at any point. I don't feel like I need to. Uh I really need to name my layers. But you know what I mean? Like I don't need to start it yet, but I feel like the earlier I start it, the easier it's gonna be once I'm good at the other stuff and I'm actually there. Crystal Pines, PNG. Alright, so let's save that. Alright. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I'm sorry there were no, I guess, pretty anime people. I don't know. I felt like that's all I was drawing, and I just felt like I could get more out of drawing other things. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a fucking apple or something. I'll do the classic. Um, but thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Have a fantastic day, night, afternoon, whatever it is for you. I'll hopefully see you in the next one, whenever that is. And until then, bye. Bye. Bye.